Awesome. Well, I want to welcome everybody to the Women Veterans Alliance, our Wednesday webinar. And I am Melissa Washington. I'm the CEO and founder, and I'm a Navy veteran. And if you haven't heard of us, it's your first time. We are a nationwide organization with our primary focus is to connect women veterans with each other and resources. And one of the ways that we connect women veterans is through our Wednesday webinar series. We have online and in-person events that are always taking place. So feel free to stay connected with us. Also, too, if you haven't heard, we recently launched a magazine, Women Veterans Magazine, and we launched the California edition earlier this year. We are working on additional locations as well. So if that is something of interest to you, please reach out to us via womenveteransmagazine.com. And we are also looking for a person to do some advertising sales. So if you have some interest, let us know. And also, too, if you're interested in bringing this publication to your state, please do so. And also just a reminder, if everybody could just remain on mute, as we don't want any distractions during our presentation, I would greatly appreciate that. If you haven't connected with us, we are on different social media platforms from Facebook to Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel, as that's where you can watch not only this webinar, but also all of our previous webinars are on our YouTube channel. If you are not a paid member, we are having a membership promo. So if you're interested in becoming a paid member of Women Veterans Alliance and getting all the fantastic benefits that we have for paid membership, we are continuing our membership promo. And the only way to get that is to send me an email, melissa@womenveteransalliance.com, and I can share that information with you. If you are a small business owner, or you're looking to start a business, or you know a woman veteran, whether active duty, guard, or reserve, that's has a business or looking to start it, we have our annual small business award. We have opened the application period, which is open till June 5th. The winner potentially will get up to $5,000 to help her start or expand her business. So if that is something of interest to you, if you know anyone, please share this information out, and you can visit womenveteransgiving.org for information on the small business award, and all the different details that go into that and the criteria that will need to be met for that. Also, too, we are partnering Women Veterans Alliance, and so several other organizations are partnering with Uniting Us. The Library of Congress has a Veteran History Project, and their goal is to get about 1,000 interviews by June 30th. So if you want to have your story, and we need to make sure our stories are shared, please visit the Library of Congress. If you want more information, I'm going to put the link in when I share this email out with everybody with the link for the recording. Also, too, if you are in the DC area, there is going to be an event June 28th through the 30th at the Library of Congress. And a lot of things will be happening there. And again, I'll include that link in this. So if that is something you're interested in participating in, we definitely want to make sure our veterans have their stories shared and are in the Library of Congress. So our upcoming events, we've got next Wednesday happening. If you're looking how to do Facebook referrals, is a part of our Wednesday webinar series. And then we've got for June and July our webinar series, and will be ending in July. But we do have another webinar scheduled in there that's not part of our Wednesday webinar series, but it's harnessing the power of your voice through podcasting. So maybe if that's something you might have had some interest, want to know more about, please definitely join us on June 7th. Make sure you register, and you'll learn more about how you can get a podcast going there. Also, too, another event that we have coming up is our Women Veterans Engage event. This is a multi-location broadcast event that's going to take place September 9th and 10th. These are our current in-person locations, so save the date. Also, too, if you're looking to bring this event to your city and state, please definitely reach out to me, as we would love to have more locations that are going to have this fantastic event for women veterans throughout the U.S. So without further ado, I would like to introduce all of you to Attorney Brooks, who's a veteran who served in the Air Force for 8 years as a civil engineer technician, including deployments to Kyrgyzstan, Kuwait, and Afghanistan. She began to research the requirements for law school on her last military deployment to Afghanistan in 2009. Shortly after separating from service, she went on a civilian deployment to Afghanistan with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. While there, she took the law school admission examination, the LSAT, and was admitted to the Thurgood Marshall School of Law. Texas Southern University. She became an attorney in 2014, and she's been practicing veteran benefits law, which is VA disability benefits, since 2015. So without further ado, I would love to introduce you all to our presenter today, Attorney Brooks.
Hello, everyone. I just want to go ahead and get started in this presentation. And I just want everyone to know that I started researching this while in the pandemic, in the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. And I started researching this because I saw something that was just so alarming. And I was like, I've never heard of this. I've never seen this research before, and I have to share it. So I want to get started on this presentation. And my disclaimer is that the information provided is not intended to constitute legal advice. Instead, all of the information, content, and materials presented are for general information purposes only. Many people ask me, what is a service connection? And that's something I asked others when I got a cert out of the military, because I was so confused about it. I didn't understand what it meant. And, I really couldn't get a clear definition of it until I started researching and studying for myself. So I want to just make it clear to everyone how to proceed in obtaining your benefits. A service connection describes an injury or disease resulting in a disability linked to service in the military. Veterans often need a service connection in order to obtain monetary benefits or seek health care from the VA. And there are 5 main methods that are used to determine, to establish service connection. And there is direct service connection, which is your injury or disease is in direct relation to your service in the military. And I'm going to go into the elements of what this means. Then there's secondary service connection. And I want to make sure people know about this too, because there are several disabilities that people are not connected for, and it could be secondary to a direct service connected disability. And basically it means that your disability is secondary to whatever you're already connected for. A major one is like, okay, a back disability. You're already connected for a lumbar spine disability or a low back disorder. And now a lot of veterans are having issues with like call it radiculopathy or peripheral nerve problems. And what that is when you have like tingling or some type of numbness in your legs. And a lot of times that is secondary to the back disorder. And service connection through aggravation. And that's for something I've seen a lot of veterans that go into the military with like flat feet. And even though it's marked on their entrance exam that they had flat feet upon entry, of course, it's going to get worse. It worsens throughout service because of the shoes you're wearing and all of the running and all those things like that. So if that condition has worsened through aggravation, that's another way to say it's related to your service. And presumptive service connection, for this one, a major one right now is like respiratory disorders such as sinus problems, allergies, or rhinitis. And those have been directly, presumptively related to burn pit exposure. And it's some other ones that are now being presumptively related to burn pit exposure. And this is just like new as of this year. So keep a lookout for that. So when you see the burn pit registry, and I know a lot of people register for those burn pit registry, that does not mean you have applied for service connection for issues that you're having due to your burn pit exposure. So please pay attention to the different articles that's coming out about presumptive service connection related to burn pit exposure. Service connection for injuries caused by VA care. This is very common for veterans who have surgery with VA and the surgery causes another condition due to negligence or something like that. They can apply for service connection for those conditions that's caused by VA care. So as I said before, I'm going to focus mainly on direct service connection for purposes of time. So direct service connections requires 3 elements. The first element is a current disability or diagnosis of some or of a disease or disorder. Number two is an in-service illness, injury, or incident. And number three is a medical link, which I know a lot of you heard of, a nexus between the current disability and the in-service event, injury, or illness. I'm going to explain what each one of these mean in the next few slides. And please note that you need all three elements in order to be granted service connection on a direct basis. Now, what is considered a current disability? And the easiest way to show proof of a current disability is a diagnosis in your medical records somewhere. And when I say your medical records, your current medical records. So this can't be a diagnosis from 15 years ago. It has to be within, a reasonable amount of time, a current diagnosis. And also, some people have been denied for service connection, and you got to really read that denial letter, because sometimes the reason people are denied is because they did not show proof of a current diagnosis. And now veterans may be eligible for service connection even without a current diagnosis. For example, if pain causes functional impairment, it may qualify as a disability. I see that a lot with back and knee disorders. Some veterans aren't connected because they didn't have a current diagnosis of a back or a knee disorder. Okay, it just said back pain or knee pain or low back pain. So they didn't have a diagnosis of arthritis. However, if that pain has caused functional impairment, you have to walk with a limp, or when it's the back, you can't really bend too much, functional impairment, it may qualify as a disability. This is the law as of, I believe, 2019 or 2020. Element two, in-service event, injury, or illness. An illness, injury, or event that arose during active duty military service can be eligible for a disability rating. And I always encourage veterans to supplement the claim with a lay statement, a statement from themselves, or a statement from a buddy. And remember, a buddy statement does not have to be somebody that you served in the military with. It can also be somebody who knew you while you were in the military, a spouse, a friend, a sibling, anything like that. But I encourage them to submit a buddy statement, because everyone who served in the military knows that we don't always report pain or injuries. We tough it out, which makes it worse a lot of times. And this does not just pertain to injuries. This pertains to PTSD and MST as well, military sexual trauma. And please note that disabilities that arose due to the veteran's own willful misconduct do not qualify for VA benefits. And an example of that is like a DUI. Like if you got injured because you were drinking and driving while in service, that injury that was caused may not, I said may not, qualify for VA benefits. Now, element three is a nexus letter. Now, this is I'm gonna say this is kind of like the hardest part. And the best way to establish a nexus is through medical evidence, and a medical evidence from a medical professional. So opinion from a medical professional affirming that they believe that your condition is, at least as likely as not, caused by your military service. And the opinion must reflect knowledge of the veteran's medical history, to include military service, and it must be supported by adequate rationale. So saying that their condition is at least as likely as not due to military service, that's not enough without explaining why. And citing to that veteran's medical record, that's really strong evidence. So this is why you have a VA exam, because they're determining whether or not your condition is due to your service. But you can also send in a letter from a medical professional, such as like your doctor or nurse practitioner. They can actually write you a letter, as long as they have your records and can cite to your records. and give them a great supported rationale. Yeah. So, women veterans demographics. I'm only citing to 2015 because this is how I got introduced to all of this. I saw a 2015 Women Veterans Report, and as you can see at the bottom of this screen, it shows you all the citations to where I got this information. And if there was a more updated one, I would cite to that. But I'm going to cite to the one that's there. I'm sure there'll be another one later. I'm not sure when, but this was from 2015, and it talked about how over 400,000 women veterans received compensation from VA for service-connected disabilities. However, there are over 2 million women veterans, and women veterans are the fastest growing group in the veteran population. So as of 2020, there are over 500, well, I could have just said there are about 550,000 women veterans receiving compensation for VA, for service-connected disability. However, where are the remaining 1.5 women veterans? I think that's a big number, 1.5 million. So again, I'm going to cite to that 2015 Women Veterans Report because that's what introduced me to so much. And this is how I'm getting on the topic of the most common disabilities among women veterans. And PTSD accounts for 12%, or accounted for over 12% of all service-connected disability among women veterans. And remember, this is an older report. And major depressive disorder was another one that accounted for 26,500 service-connected disabilities. They had major depressive disorder, over 26,000 women veterans. And then over 24,000 women veterans received compensation for headaches and back pain. They received about 22,000 back in 2015. Now, this is highlighted about the uterus and the ovaries, the removal, the complete removal of it. And these numbers were just alarming to me back then. About 12,700, remember this is 2015 report, around 12,700 women veterans had the complete removal of their ovaries and uterus. An additional 10,500 women veterans had the same procedure. However, they removed basically the corpus as well. And this totals basically the hysterectomy, totals to over 23,000 women veterans in 2015. Now, I have the updated numbers on this. And as of the 2020 annual benefits report, and again, take a look at the bottom of the screen, that is the citation for this report. You'll be able to find it on that website so you can see all these different numbers for yourself. See, those numbers have gone up. See, five years prior to this, the number was, let's see, 12,000. Oh, yeah, I didn't have it broken down like I wanted to. Disregard, but I'm telling you, these numbers are going up tremendously. 23,345 women veterans had the complete removal of their ovaries. Total. I'm saying as of 2020. I'm not saying in 2020, as of 2020. And then 18,357 women had the complete removal of their ovaries and uterus. 17,352 women veterans suffer from a disease or injury of the ovary. And the total of the most prevalent gynecological disabilities is over 61,000. So basically, those are these three categories equal to 61,000. However, there are other gynecological disabilities that total to 153,689 women veterans. And remember, the number is only counting that 500 and almost 550,000 women veterans receiving disability, okay? So there are over 2 million women veterans, and if they were seeking disability or something like that, and those numbers that I'm giving you, those are only the women that are, this 153,000 are only the women who have applied for and receiving disability for gynecological disorders. So even out of that 549,000, there may be some of those women who are not receiving money for a gynecological disorder that they may have. That's what I'm saying. So just using that 549,000, there are nearly 30% of women veterans who have a service-connected disability suffer from gynecological disorders. So those conditions include like female sexual arousal disorder, fibroids, but breast, like breast cancer and things like that. Anything that has anything to do with your reproductive system is included under this gynecological conditions. And it's so many ways that they can result from your military service. Like you can be injured, like it was possible that a veteran experienced a traumatic injury that resulted in damage to the ovaries or the uterus. It could be related to a specific in-service event or injury. However, in Gulf War women veterans who experience like unexplained gynecological symptoms, and those Gulf War veterans are the ones who served like in, I'm gonna say Afghanistan, Kuwait, places like that. They're also entitled to service connection on a presumptive basis, if it cannot be attributed to a known diagnosis, but they have all these unexplained gynecological issues, and they served in the Gulf War. And basically, the law will presume that since the condition cannot be explained, it has something to do with possible exposure in the Persian Gulf War. Ultimately, if the gynecological condition began in service, service connection may be warranted. So I know a lot of you may be thinking, what are examples of how it can be began in service? And I'm going to talk to you about that in a future slide. So I think it's important to make sure a lot of the women veterans have this service connection, because it's different things that you can get treated for. Like if a woman is trying to get pregnant and she needs in vitro, you can look for yourself to see how expensive in vitro fertilization is. However, a woman who has a gynecological disorder and it's causing some type of infertility, they can, and remember, service connected for it as well, they can actually receive IVF treatments from the VA. And the VA recently approved paying for IVF for veterans who suffer from fertility issues as a result of a service connection for a gynecological disorder. And to learn more about that, you can call the Women Veterans Center at 855-VA-WOMEN. And you can go to the Center for Women Veterans website as well. They have a lot of information there. Now, how does this apply to my case? Everything I just explained about what is a service connection and the most common disabilities, but focusing on gynecological disorders, how can this apply to a woman veteran's case? So scenario one, by the way, these are real life scenarios, okay, that I found on the public website that shows different cases decided for women veterans, okay? So the veteran served on active duty from April 2002 to April 2010 to include service in Kuwait and Afghanistan. She complained about abdominal pain and cramps, as well as heavy bleeding throughout her military service. This was all documented in her records. She had one abnormal pap smear, but no ultrasound was ever conducted. She was diagnosed with fibroids in 2015, which was 5 years after service. And she underwent a myomectomy, which is the removal of the fibroids, and it's an invasive surgery. It's like a C-section. And that happened in 2016. She submitted a claim in 2017. Now we're 7 years after service. And she submitted a claim in 2017. And the VA examiner concluded that the currently diagnosed fibroids were at least as likely as not incurred in or was caused by her service. In this regard, the examiner explained that the veteran complained about cramps and heavy bleeding throughout her service. And those are symptoms of fibroids. And it includes heavy bleeding and cramps. So those fibroids could have been while in service. So service connection was warranted because, number one, current disability. Number two, in-service event or injury. In this case, she did complain in service. And number three, a VA opinion, Nexus, a positive Nexus that was based on the veteran's medical history and adequate rationale to support the conclusion. So again, service connection for fibroids was granted. And some may think, oh, well, I got my fibroids removed already. Well, residuals of fibroids to include the scar, and you're getting paid for having this surgery, basically. Like, you have fibroids, and fibroids do come back. So that's an example. The veteran had military service from July 1993 to September 1997. Service treatment records show that the veteran was treated for irregular bleeding, severe cramping and cycles, and frequent urination while in service. However, they were silent for a diagnosis or treatment for fibroids. Okay. The veteran was first diagnosed for fibroids in 1997, the same year she got out. She was diagnosed for fibroid. She had a hysterectomy in 2005, which was 8 years after her separation from service. The examiner concluded that it was least as likely as not that the disability was related. Oh, yeah, it was least as likely as not that this disability was related to service. So the rationale to support it was the veteran's symptoms during service, the diagnosis of fibroids very soon from service, and the veteran's overall history, specifically her reported symptoms in service, helped her meet the threshold for service connection. As a matter of fact, in this case, the veteran actually received a negative opinion, meaning that it was denied and she appealed it. Okay, but this was granted on a different type of basis based on all the circumstances. Okay, so it was denied because although she did have fibroids in 97, she didn't have a hysterectomy in service. So it was denied kind of like on that basis. However, her fibroids are what led to the hysterectomy. So the benefit of the doubt was resolved in favor of the veteran in this instance, and the entitlement for service connection for residuals of a hysterectomy was warranted. Remember, just like I told you about fibroids, and even though the person got the fibroids removed, they still were paid for the residuals from having that surgery. And here, even though you have a hysterectomy, you may have had a hysterectomy, there are issues that come from after that other than the scar. You probably, who knows what happened after you had that hysterectomy? Your body's not the same. So any residuals that you may think are related to that hysterectomy, you can get service connected for it. Scenario 3, the veteran had active duty service from January 1987 to January 2009. While in service, she reported irregular periods, and an ovarian cyst was diagnosed in August 1999. However, the issue was noted as resolved in service. So it was diagnosed in 99, and in 2009, she got out. So between that time, it was resolved. After retiring from service, a cyst was seen on that same ovary in June of 2009, and she filed a claim. The veteran was afforded a VA gynecological exam in March 2019. The examiner provided an opinion that the veteran's ovarian cyst was as likely as not incurred in service. Yeah. In support of that opinion, the examiner noted that the veteran had no issues of an ovarian cyst prior to service, and that the service treatment records documented the onset of symptoms during service, and she continued to suffer from irregular bleeding. So I put this one in there because, remember, I got this from the appeal level. So she was denied initially because it was noted as resolved in service, even though she ended up with a cyst on the same ovary many years later. She was still denied because her records showed that it was resolved. So yeah, that doesn't make much sense, I know. So it was ultimately granted because she had a current disability, in-service complaints. She was diagnosed with ovarian cyst on that same ovary in service. It doesn't matter that it was resolved in service. It came back. And she had a positive Nexus opinion with adequate rationale. In my opinion, it never should have been denied, of course. Scenario 4, the veteran claimed that her breast cancer was caused by her exposure to chemicals while serving in Iraq from January 1991 to May 1991. The veteran's DD-214 documents service in Southwest Asia during the Persian Gulf War. As such, the veteran is a Persian Gulf veteran, and she is presumed to have been exposed to environmental hazards. She submitted a private opinion from her treating oncologist, who concluded that it was, at least as likely as not, that the veteran's breast cancer and residuals were caused by her exposure to chemical agents in Iraq. And the oncologist provided sufficient rationale for her conclusion. And in this instance, yes, service connection was granted. There was a current disability. It was due to an in-service exposure to chemicals. It doesn't matter that the chemical wasn't listed, the type of chemicals. Anybody who served overseas knows that we were exposed to all kinds of things. And the private opinion was based on the veteran's medical history, and there was adequate rationale to support the conclusion. Again, this was a case that was appealed, and I saw it online, and I thought this was another good one to use as an example, because I don't understand how this was denied too, when this veteran served in the Persian Gulf War and she was exposed to environmental hazards. And so ultimately it was granted in her favor. That is my last example, but I also wanted to show you some, based on my research, some common mistakes that veterans make when filing for benefits. And this was just some of the ones I just picked off the list. And waiting too long to file your VA claim was one on the list, but don't let that distract you and keep you from filing your claim. Filling out the forms incorrectly, now that delays it, that will delay it. Not continuing to appeal after receiving a denial from VA. Some people think that they could just, they get denied, and instead of appealing because they think it's gonna take too long, it does take a while. They just start over and over and over. But what you gotta understand is every time you're denied and then you start over for the same issue, you gotta show something new and relevant for them to even reopen your claim. So that's harder to me. You got to show some new and material. New and material, like if they denied your claim because there was no nexus, no opinion, or a negative nexus, a negative nexus, element 3, from a doctor, there was not one that could possibly help your case. And you file again and again and again, and you still don't provide a medical opinion from a doctor, they will just continue to deny it over and over and over. And remember, I told you about the secondary conditions. I think if you think that something has caused another condition and you connected for this thing, for example, if you're connected for a foot condition and now you're connected for flat feet, and now you're having knee problems, and your doctor is continuously telling you that your knee problems are due to your foot, you tell your doctor, write that down, please. Write a statement on that so that I can turn it in and get connected for my knee. And then, like I told you before, failing to obtain a medical opinion. So if you have any questions, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Melissa has my email address. And you do not have to do this alone. You can contact the BSO, and tell them about your gynecological disorder. I don't know if they'll want to hear about it or if they'll understand what you're talking about, but you tell them that you have these issues that you feel are related to service, and you can look up some documentation on it too. And you probably, some women veterans probably reported heavy bleeding or irregular cycles in service, and now they have fibroids or a hysterectomy. Yeah, you use this information to your advantage. And there's also the Veterans Consortium program, pro bono program, and they provide free legal services, okay, for this issue as well, for disability benefits. And then you have the National Veterans Legal Services Program as well. And those are the links for them. And that's it. Any questions?
Ooh, this was some great information. So we did want to open it up. We do have time for questions. So if you wanted to unmute yourself, if you feel comfortable, or you want to chat, or if you want to send me a message directly in the chat, then I can ask on your behalf. Again, we want to make sure that we are very cautious and considerate of your privacy, especially when we're talking about women's issues that may be personal to you. So again, feel free to ask us here. This is being recorded, so you will get the link for YouTube as well as all of Attorney Brooks's contact information as well in that email. Oh, so there's a question. What is a lay statement?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that question, because I'm gonna change that, because I don't want to confuse anybody. A lay statement, a statement from you, a statement from the veteran. So that's what I'll say. A statement from the veteran. That's what I'll change it to. That's all.
Is that legal terms, lay statement?
Yeah, lay. That's a legal term. Sorry. Thank you for that question. Let me see if I see another question. Oh, I don't see any other question.
Yeah, but there's a question about information related to the toxic environment at Fort Mcclellan.
Oh, I haven't seen anything on that. Where is that place? Where's that base? Alabama. No, I haven't seen anything about that. But if you believe that your disability is related to any exposure at this base, if you have anything regarding what you were exposed to at this base and you believe your condition is related to that, file a claim for that. I recommend that, yes.
Hey, Marge.
Hey, I just wanted to make a comment that I'm a Vietnam vet.
Oh,
And
wow.
the women veterans group in our local area encouraged me to apply for Agent Orange exposure. And so I did on there because they said to, my lady veterans. And sure enough, I have breast cancer. And
Wow.
so I applied, and I was, I think, the second case. Presumptive illness for men included prostate cancer, but nothing about women. So I think I was the second case. And I'm very grateful to the women veterans and our local VA service office who found this one case in Washington that said, no, here's another one that was not denied on appeal, and mine didn't get denied.
Good. And as soon as you said you were in Vietnam, all I could think of was the list of those Agent Orange exposure related conditions. And I was like, they don't have anything on there for women. I thought about prostate cancer. I know diabetes is on there, but nothing for women. That's true. Wow. I see a question. I had a hysterectomy while in service and claimed it. And when I was discharged, they did not accept it. Should they have? That's what she said. She had it while in service and she claimed it and they didn't accept it. I'm thinking she should reapply, because it doesn't make sense why they would deny it if she had it in service. Yeah, she should apply for residuals, especially just say residuals to hysterectomy while in service.
Gladys has unmuted herself.
That's
you.
I did. I unmuted myself because the way you responded to it, I thought you was gonna say, nope, they ain't gonna do that. But then you responded differently than I thought you would. And so that's why I went ahead and unmuted myself. Yeah, they said it was not
Service connected.
part of my disability. And also diabetes, they said was not part of my disability, but all of those things came about during that time of service. And because of the heavy bleeding I was doing, that I had to have the hysterectomy.
And you had the hysterectomy while in the military?
Yes.
And they denied it?
Yes.
What year did they deny it?
I got out in 2011, and I didn't claim my disability until after that. I hadn't even did it until I was an MFLAC, a military family life counselor at an Air Force base. And the lady there told me about how to apply for the disability. They gave me 80%, but they said that the diabetes nor the hysterectomy was reportable, or yeah. They
That's what
denied that
oh,
piece.
send me an email. I want to know more about that.
Okay.
What's your name? Yeah,
Gladys Johnson.
Yeah, send me an email. We could talk more about that offline.
All right. And they're going to give you information after this, right?
Right.
Yes, it'll be in the email.
Thank you.
So I had Attorney Brooks, I had a question about incontinence issues.
That's what I was thinking about when I said something about hysterectomy. It results in other issues. That's one of them. Yeah, you can get connected for that too. If you had a hysterectomy and you believe it's due to service, that's one of the residuals that I was referring to. And then if you haven't had a hysterectomy or anything and you have that specific issue and you believe it's related to service, you can apply for that too. You can apply for anything.
I have another question. Reservist medical documentation of injury, if a line of duty is required for a service member to be made.
Yeah, so this is a guard or reserve.
Yeah,
veteran.
reservist. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they have a disease or injury.
It says documentation of injury.
Injury.
In the line of duty.
Oh, and they have that letter, or is he or she trying to get the letter? Which one?
Hopefully they'll text me or message me back here to ask if I can get a little bit more clarification to ask.
Yeah, if you have that line of duty letter, they should be able to get connected for that injury due to service. That's what that line of duty helps with.
So I have a question kind of about that as well. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I am also a retired, medically retired reservist. And so for me, I was able to get my line of duties that I had service connected, thank goodness, but I have been struggling with trying to get documentation for my claim for anxiety and depression. It has been denied. And now I'm also going to be seeking out an MST claim.
Ooh, okay.
So do you have any, I guess, recommendations on how someone would be able to get records? Because unfortunately my records, while I was in service, I was also a dependent of an active duty service member. And so every time I went to get treatment, it got documented under my civilian military record instead of me as the service member.
Now, were you ever on active duty?
I've served a few tours on active duty, but it was all on orders and all for training.
Okay. And then is that mental health disorder due to when you were on orders or something?
So I'm trying to get the claim through for the MST for PTSD. And I still, like I said, I'm trying to figure out what all I'm going to need to get together for that. So I really appreciate this presentation because it was very helpful.
Yeah. You were on orders?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody, any buddy statements or anything?
So I do have one person I'm still in contact with from my old unit that I could potentially get a buddy statement from. I also have my husband and some of my friends, especially my best friend who's known me for almost 35 years.
That may be enough. You need to get statements from all of them if possible. And you have proof that you were on orders during this time, right?
Yes, correct.
That may be enough, because did you even report it and go to the medical clinic?
So the MST, no, but my other injuries, but then also I was followed at Fort Lewis in the counseling office for my anxiety and depression. But again, they always checked me in as a dependent instead of my service member, even though I handed in my military ID.
Oh, but you have those records.
So that's the records I'm trying to get a hold of and
okay.
can't find because nobody at Madigan is talking.
Yeah, okay, but I would still submit this claim. Maybe once you submit the claim, you know how they go. You tell them where your records are and tell them it may be under another name, and they have a duty. VA has a duty to go assist you in finding those.
Okay, good. And I know my counselor here at the vet center is also writing a statement for me too.
But this may all be enough, all of that. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Welcome. Hey, I just wanted to go back just about the question I had about the reservist. She said there's no line of duty for an injury. She had injuries and have medical documentation, but don't have a line of duty for the injuries during annual training.
But she said she has medical documentation.
Yes.
Oh, around the same time?
I don't know, but she just says she has medical documentation.
Oh, well, that may be enough. She may not need a LOD, a line of duty determination.
Okay. All right. I
But
see.
if she can't find that, I would still apply. It may be they. Oh, did they write one though, and she just can't find it?
I'll find out.
Yeah, but either way, VA has a duty to assist, so they have to go try to find her records anyway. If she can't, yes.
I see Sharon has her hand raised.
I think Rochelle had her hand. Did they answer her already?
No, Rochelle, if you want to go ahead, and then we'll go to Sharon, and then we got some more in the chat.
Hey, hello, everyone. I'm sorry. I'm gonna turn my camera on. I'm on my phone, so y'all have to forgive me. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I had a question. As far as and I might be pronouncing this wrong, that a diastasis, I think that's what it's called, my abdominal walls, my muscles that are separate. Is that considered a disability, or is that something I can claim?
Why were they separate? Did you have a child in service or something?
I did. I had a child in service, and then I had an airborne injury as well.
Yes, I would file a claim for that.
Okay.
This was all in service?
Yes, ma'am. I literally just retired 1 March. So I'm going through the process right now, but I'm getting like different stories about stuff. And one of the questions that you just previously asked really helped me about the hysterectomy. So
yeah, apply for that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, go ahead, Sharon.
Okay, so my question is, I served 10 years. 3 years after I got out, I had a brain tumor and a pituitary tumor. And I'm trying to relate it to my military career because nobody in my family, either side, has had any of this.
Where did you serve?
Alaska, Germany, and Panama.
You were in Panama?
Yes.
Okay. And then the symptoms, did you look up the symptoms of that? Like the symptoms? Mm-hmm.
Well, I did, but I can't find the key words to link it.
Right, but okay, you know how you can, when you got diagnosed, you've already had it, right? But they can probably tell you how long you had it. But I wonder if you had any of the symptoms of this condition while in service. Like,
well, I did. I had lots of eye problem, and my brain tumor was actually on my optical nerve. So I've pulled all of my eye records to attach to my claim, but I don't feel that's enough.
I feel that's enough. I would apply just like that. That's what I would do. You just told me that symptoms of it is what you just said, and you had those symptoms while in service. Explain it just like that.
Okay, and what about the pituitary tumor?
What are symptoms of that?
Cushing's disease.
I'm saying, any symptoms of your condition, did you have that in service as well?
No,
Is it related to the brain tumor?
probably yes.
So what I would do is apply for the brain tumor because you did have those symptoms in service, and then say that the other tumors are secondary to the brain tumor.
Okay, and I missed the beginning of this. Will it be replayed?
On the YouTube channel. That's what
Okay.
Melissa said.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. You'll receive the link and it'll be uploaded. Okay, I have another question. I was denied in 1977 and just got awarded in 2019 for service connected for lupus I had in service. Can I get any back pay?
It depends. It depends on if at the time of your application back in 1977, were they missing some records? Like why did they grant it now versus deny it then? Like what happened? Like all that depends. There's an exception to the rule of when they give you your effective date. There's an exception. And you may or may not fall into one of the exceptions, so it all depends. So I wonder why, did they not have your records before? Why did they deny it before? Do you know exactly why? You got to know exactly why they denied it before.
Right, I have another question. It says, please tell the group that another veteran also is not approved for breast cancer, even with strong nexus, Bosnia veteran. It was denied twice and currently up for board review. It is so good to know that there are at least 2 other approved breast cancer claims. And I see Patricia has her hand raised.
Yes. I am a veteran, and while I was a dependent, after I was discharged from active duty, I married on active duty. After getting out, I was raped. And as a Navy dependent, I attempted to file, well, I just talked to the MST coordinator. I told her my story. I did not report it because I was working on the base where it occurred. And anyway, she said that I did not have a claim for MST.
Oh, because it happened after service?
It happened after service, but I was a dependent employee on a naval base.
Mm-hmm.
And the individual was a sailor. I can't, I don't know the terms.
Right.
Regardless of, I'm having problems as a result
Mm-hmm.
of that. I have not filed a claim. I have read that if you were an employee, that when the incident occurred, you could file a claim. This is several years ago, I saw that.
Oh, I'm not sure about that. This was all,
Okay.
everything I know is for being on active duty or guard or reserve if it's an injury. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that.
That,
And it might, what you're talking about might be not VA disability claim, but a different type of claim.
okay.
Not VA disability, more so like a lawsuit.
Well, I don't remember the person's name. I mean, I knew all that, but it was a situation where it was more embarrassing to report,
Mm-hmm.
and I stuffed, and that I'm dealing with that
Right.
decision.
As a result of it.
And whether I get disability because of it, should not be able to enroll in MST, you know, to get services at the VA. I'm
Right.
getting services for my depression and my anxiety, but I'm not dealing with the suppression.
So you are getting treatment at the VA.
Yes, I am. And I'm service connected for some other things. So,
Okay.
but in one of them being hysterectomy. But what I'm saying, I think I'm being denied an opportunity to heal because of where it was and my status at the time. And you might not be able to answer that, but
Right.
I had to say it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, I see we have a couple more hands raised, and just one quick other ask from the messages. And I don't know, Paniculaus, Panniculaus, is that some type of, may have to do with, and if she can just share with us about that, because this was also the same person who asked about the incontinence issue as well. So while you're thinking or looking that one up, let's take I see Eli. If you want to go ahead and unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, this has been very informative. I appreciate you all. This is my first session, and I'm just grateful I did get the emails. So anyway, my question is, I'm trying to get my service treatment record so I can see. They're saying that, okay, that they see that there are certain things. For instance, I was in an auto accident while I was in the Navy, and I was actually on base. I went to the doctor, had back pain, the shoulder strain. And it's been an ongoing problem. I'm even seeing a chiropractor now. And the chiropractor is stating because my neck, the spine in my neck is straight and not curved like everybody else, it could very well be because I was a flag bearer. I was one of the first flag bearers for the Navy, female flag bearers. So how can I get my service treatment record? I've been waiting for years.
Waiting for who to send them?
For the national, what is that? The national.
Oh yeah, that takes a long time. Have you applied for anything before?
Applied for what?
A disability from the VA before?
Yeah, I'm 90%, and I'm trying to get.
Well, they have your records. They have your records. You can get them from the VA. They have your service treatment records, right?
Yeah, but I don't. Every time I ask them, they'll say they don't have it, and I have to submit a request.
Oh, the VA does not have them, not the. Who were you trying to get them from before?
The National Center in National Personnel Records Center in St. Louis.
You said the VA said they were lost or something. What did they say?
No, they didn't say they were lost. I've just never received them. The only thing they send me is my DD-214.
You never requested your C file from them?
I did. I've requested it 5 times, and I've never gotten anything since 2015, except for my DD-214.
Okay, so you can actually call them and just, well, the C file request has to be written, but regarding requesting your records from the service center, that I've heard that takes a while, but it shouldn't take that long. So I would recommend contacting them again and asking them for an update or something and what you need to do to get those records. However, are you already connected for anything related to that accident?
No, they are denying me because they said that I had no, they use the term chronicity, which is not even a real word. It's like continuity of care. But the doctors I've seen for years, their offices don't keep the records after 7 years. And I've moved from different states, so they don't have those records.
So did they deny you because there's no current disability? Is that what they said? Do you remember?
Yeah, they're denying it because I am not currently being seen for it, which is, so that's another reason I started seeing a chiropractor here.
No, I'm trying to figure out the exact reason for the denial. I'm trying to see if it's element 1, 2, or 3, you know, current disability, in-service event, or is it number 3, no nexus. So I was trying to figure out the exact reason.
I've submitted a nexus too from an
Oh, from the
orthopedic
doctor.
surgeon. Yeah, from an orthopedic surgeon. And they still denied it.
Mhm.
So it's not making sense to me because I can't see what they're looking for or looking at in my service treatment record.
Okay, send me an email because I want to know exactly why it was denied. Like I want to know exact reason. Yeah.
Okay,
Miss
thank you.
Thompson.
Let's see, let me put my hand down, sorry.
I'm getting personal emails. They're saying that this Miss Williams, Miss Williams says she's the MST coordinator at the LA regional office. And she wanted to reach out because a lot of questions of MST are coming up. And she's saying that although those MST claims are centralized, she can still help veterans seeking MST. So that's Miss Williams. So even though she's all the way in Los Angeles, she can still help you with any questions that you have. I was just laughing at her message. Thank you.
Did you want forward that email to me, and then when I send out the email to everybody that registered, I'll include her information if she's okay with that.
Yeah, please send in everybody my contact information because I'm getting that too.
Yes.
But I saw something else. I hope the person's still on here. They were asking about a scar, a 14-inch scar. That's a keloid scar. I would file an increase, please. File an increase for that scar because they're getting 0% for that scar.
Yeah.
A keloid scar that's 14 inches. Increase. File an increase.
All right. Well, good.
Yeah, that's everything, I think.
Good. Well, thank you. This was phenomenal. I greatly appreciate your time today. And like I said, once we get this uploaded to YouTube, all of you will have the link. Contact information will be in the email. And again, thank you, and hopefully we'll see you on future webinars. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Are you guys any future webinars like this one?
I'm speaking at a Maryland webinar. The Maryland veterans having one because Women's Veterans Day is coming up in June. So the Maryland webinar is having one, and it's I have basically the same information because it's for women veterans. So it's the same information.
Thank you.
Thank you.